Welcome back from our world marketplace. Did everyone have enough to eat? Anything you really love, shout it out. So I heard soup, I heard maybe grouper. Maybe next year I'll ask that question and we'll do a live poll. We're gonna keep that for next year. But anyway, thanks to the chefs and the sponsors who made our world marketplace just jam-packed with great things to eat and drink. Very excited about this next session. I am here to introduce the next session, but before I do, I wanna say that we will have an hour, and so if you have questions, send those on to Slido, and I'll be looking that over. So it is my pleasure to introduce Chicago's own Liz Grossman. I'm a former Chicagoan, so I'm always like all the Chicago people, who is a Chicago-based writer, editor, and storyteller going on 25 years now. You may know her as the former editor-in-chief of Plate and a national award-winning trade publication for the professional chef industry. She's also won a Jesse H. Neal Awards for her coverage of Team USA's win at the Bocuse d'Or, as well as for the burnt, no waste, and longevity issues of Plate. She's also co-founder of a nonprofit storytelling series called Between Bites. And then she's also read her own story as part of the Amazon series, The Mortified Guide. And she does a lot of volunteer work too. I mean, she's been with us for a while, so I can rib her a little bit. But let me introduce you to Liz Grossman, and then she's going to introduce our session and our chefs.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Yeah, I think this is like my 10th or 11th Worlds, or maybe like 9th Worlds of Flavor. It's always so much fun to be here. I always learn so much, get so inspired, so thank you for having me back. And we secretly want Jennifer to come back to Chicago, although she needs to stay at the CIA, but you know, it's too cold and not sunny enough, I think, for her. So I'm also really excited about today's session. Our topic today is grains and cultures, Bulghur and yogurt across Anatolia. I am going to introduce our two fantastic chefs who are going to be talking about these two really humble sort of staples that I think we've had, we've gotten to try throughout the last 2 days, and how they really, the versatility and how they're really expressions of flavor, heritage, and identity in Turkish and Kurdish cuisine. So first up, we have Musa Dagdeviran, world-renowned chef owner of Istanbul's Chia Sofrası and Chia Kebab. He's very busy hosting pop-up dinners, which I think start tonight, so hopefully you guys got tickets to that. He appears in season 5 of Netflix Chef's Table and is author of many books, including the Turkish Cookbook. I think he did a signing for that. And he's gonna be doing 2 dishes today, an onion and lamb kebab and stuffed squash rolls with yogurt. And we have Barak Apir, who's gonna help with translation today. So that will be great. And next up, the second half, we will have the Alevi Kurdish food writer, cook, and storyteller Melek Erdal. She was born in Istanbul and raised in London, where she still lives. She's working on a Kurdish cookbook that's going to map stories from Turkey to London, and she's going to do a yogurt soup with sizzling Bulghur dumplings today. So as Jennifer said, put your questions in Slido. We have a lot to cover, so we will get into it. We will try to have some time at the end. So Musa, would you like to kick things off?
Başlayabiliriz. Tamam.
Şimdi katıklı dolmadan başlayacağız.
So first, chef's going to share the recipe with the squash roll.
Şimdi ülkemizde özellikle yaz mevsiminde bu kabakta, zucchini dedikleri kabaktan yaparlar.
The one that he's sharing with you, showing, is the summer squash, also known as zucchini in the States.
Kış kabağından yapılır.
And this is the winter squash.
Evet.
That's also been dried.
Aynı zamanda kış mevsiminde tazesini de yaparlar. Şimdi biz tazesinden yapacağız ama bunların da tatları çok güzel olur.
Yeah. So in the winter time, you can also use the fresh version, like we're going to share with you today. But the flavors of these dried ones are also, it has a very unique flavor. If you want to use
Şimdi
it with the dried.
bu kabağın cinsini sen biliyorsun.
So this is, today we've chosen the butternut squash.
Şimdi bunları böyle kestik.
So we cut them, slice them very thin on a meat slicer actually.
Şey olduğu zaman böyle yarılıyor gördüğünüz gibi.
If it's too dry, it starts cracking as you.
Ama buna birazcık tuz serptiğimiz
When
zaman,
you add a little salt to it,
bakın böyle hiçbir şey olmuyor.
It's-
Hatta bunu
it's
istersek
more
bu
workable.
şekil bir iki tane de buraya koyalım. Evet. Evet. Şimdi burada duracak. Yapacak. Şimdi biz bu eti, keçi etimizi baya bir yoğurduk. Yani
So
iyice dövdük.
this is some goat meat, and they've already yesterday pounded it with like a. We were looking for like a wooden mallet, but the closest thing we found was a rolling pin.
Evet. Melek ve bütün mutfak personeline ayrıca teşekkürler.
So Melek also helped us with this process. So
Bunu-
what he's doing is he tries to get it as cold as possible, ice it down, so that it doesn't bruise the meat when he's hitting the meat with it.
Bunu dövmekteki amacımız aslında sadece döver gibi yapacağım. Dövülmüş durumda zaten.
So the reason he uses this technique to pound the meat with a wooden mallet,
Bunu eti kabartmak için.
so the meat will expand more. So in the cooking process, what it
Arada
does is,
bu buz sistemini sürekli
and then
yapıyoruz.
he tries to again keep
Et-
it
et
keep it
çok-
cold.
Et çok olduğu zaman
When you have more meat, then you know.
bunu böyle daha büyük tokmaklarla daire şeklinde ilk 4 kişi birden yapıyor.
There's like 4 people taking turns hitting like a big piece of
Evet.
meat in the middle.
Evet. Ve aynı zamanda şarkı söyleyerek de.
And they also, of course, have to sing while they're doing this.
Aggression out.
Evet. Buzu koymaktaki amaç aynı zamanda ayrıca etin kararmasını da engelliyor.
So again, the ice also helps from the meat turning.
Şimdi içerisine bulgur,
So he's making the stuffing now. So he's adding some fine bulgur,
soğan,
some diced onions, small dice.
bu dağlarda yetişen reyhan türü.
So this is an opal basil that grows wild in the mountains. It has a very unique flavor.
Black pepper, salt, ondan sonrası
And
biraz pul biber,
that's some crushed Monash pepper, a little parsley.
evet, biber, sudan bir parça, şöyle az bir şey, çok az, yeter.
And add a little water there.
Bunu ezmiyoruz ama bu sebzelerini, bulgurunu ezmiyoruz.
So he just gives it a nice mix without bruising the herbs that he added to it and the onion.
Bunu illaki dövmek zorunda değilsiniz. Hani normal makine kıymasıyla da yapabilirsiniz ama
So again, if you don't necessarily, I mean, he's showing a technique, but you don't have to necessarily beat it with a mallet. You can just use some ground meat, ground your own meat. That would be
şu
sufficient
düz
also.
tabakta değil mi?
The straight plate. Where do we put that one?
Yok,
Plate.
tabak.
Where do we put that?
Bunları böyle dene. Bu şekil sarıyoruz. Bunu hem fırında hem de tencerede, ocakta
So again,
yapmak mümkün.
this is how he puts it together. And as far as cooking technique, you can either finish it in the oven, braise it in the oven with some liquid, or do it on a stovetop in a pan.
Bu bizdeki kabaklar daha büyük oluyor biliyorsun. Her biri böyle 50-60 kiloluk kabaklar.
Some of the squashes that they use are like almost 80 pounds, 80 to 100 pounds. They use those type of large squashes.
Bu kadar yeter sanki.
So that's the technique how to roll it up.
Şimdi pişmiş olanı size göstereceğim.
Now he's going to share the one that's already been cooked.
Şöyle söyleyeyim mi?
And you can use any squash for that, correct, Brock? The winter squash, butternut squash.
I'm sorry?
As a substitute? Did you talk about the?
Yes, I mean, you can do it from any squash, pretty much.
Yeah.
As I was mentioning earlier, I mean, the summer squash, the Middle Eastern type of squash or zucchini is something you can use definitely here in the States in the summertime.
Thank you.
And the winter time, any squash that is workable enough, you know, as you say, he demonstrated, when you salt it, it softens up so it's more workable.
Şimdi bunu tencereye düzdükten sonra
So you place this in a pan.
reçetede de var. Üstüne hem normal su hem et suyu koyuyoruz.
They add both some plain water and some meat broth into the pan.
Ve kaynayıncaya kadar orta ateş.
So you bring it to a boil and then you cook it, you simmer it at medium heat.
Sonra da alayım mı? Kullanayım mı? Peki, pardon. Tabağı alayım mı? Tabağı. Thank you. Buraya ver. Biraz buna gel. Şey derse. Şöyle bir. Şöyle.
So he's plating this up for us now.
Fazlalıklarını böyle üstünü kapatıyoruz şeyde. Gördüğünüz gibi.
And he used some, again, thin slices to cover it so it would braise nicely.
Bu kadar. Okey. Tereyağını da alayım mı? Tereyağı ve sarımsak.
He's preparing the final step for this. Butter, garlic, and again, a little chili flakes.
Biraz tuz.
Yeah, a little more salt to that.
Şuna kaçalım. Katık yoğurttan geliyor. Katıklı dolma.
So the name katıklı, so the Turkish name of it is katıklı dolma. Katık refers to yogurt in this sense.
Bir başka ismi de
Another name that it's known by.
kündüri mast.
I've heard this for the first time. Kunduri mast is
Bu-
another name that.
Okey. Tamam. Buyurun. Tamam. Bitti. Finish. Evet.
Is this dish on the pop-up menu?
Bu pop-up menüde yapılıyor mu bu akşam diyor.
Bu maalesef burada ama var tatmak isteyenle tattırız bir parça.
Unfortunately, it's not on the pop-up menu, but if you want to fight over it, I have some here for you to try.
All right.
Sanki parça parça yetebilir. Evet.
Next up, we have the onion and lamb kebab. Zugan kebabi.
Evet. Şimdi onion kebap. Şöyle yapalım. Hem ben bu zırtla çekilmiş hali. Bunu saplayacağım, soğanı ver şiş.
Tamam.
Sonra
Soğanlı
da
şiş.
şeye geçeceğim.
Let me get that tray over.
Biraz parmaklar
My God. Wow.
pardon. Bu haliyle de olsa yapacağım yani.
Yeah, even if I have a sore thumb, I'm going to still do it.
Burada döş ve kuzu kol var.
So this is a mixture of lamb shoulder and lamb breast meat. In Turkey, they would also add some lamb tail fat, but it's not used in the States. It's not available, so this is the only two meats that he's using with him.
Biraz da kuyruk yağı olması gerekiyordu.
Onu açıkladım şimdi ben de.
Tamam. Daha bir parça daha yağlı olursa daha güzel olur.
Again, that extra tail fat just enhances the flavor.
Bir tane yeter sanki.
Yeter, yeter bence de.
Evet. Şunu da tansın. Bu da bitsin. Masat var mı yanında?
Yanında yok masa. You have a steel, sharpening steel?
Önemli değil. Eti alayım ben. Buradaki etleri alayım. Eti alayım. Nerede? Buradaki
Bıçağın altında.
etler ne olmuş?
Var var.
Bu normalde piştikten sonra bırak. Et. Etler
Kalsın mı? Let me get
So many tools.
buradaydı etler.
the meats, the two meats.
Et kaldırdılar.
Before he cuts me with that knife,
Bıçak vardı be. Ne yapacağımı bilmiyorlar da ondan.
I have a quick question for the chef.
sonra çabuk bir soru sormak istiyorlar.
Tabii.
For the squash and goat dish, how is it eaten? As a side dish, as main?
Katıklı dolmayı ana yemek olarak mı?
Ana yemek.
Yani, yeah, it's the main dish.
Normalde bizim kültürümüzde böyle çoklu yemek kültürü hani görüyorsunuz öyle Turkish bread piece falan filan bunlar tamamen metropollerin kokuşmuş.
Yeah. So you might have come across some of the Turkish breakfast, extravagant, just lots, like 20, 30 items. This is something that's been created later on in the cities, but in reality we don't have a eating culture like that with
Mesela
so many
sadece
choices.
bununla yanında hoşaf yenilir.
Yeah. So like with this zucchini stuffed butternut squash, you would have a fruit compost type of served with it.
Şimdi bu pek çok şef ya da mutfağa ilgili olan bu bıçağa çok özeniyor.
So many people who want to be, involved in the cooking process of the kitchen.
İnanın normal makine kıyması bazı zaman eğer o tekniğe sahip olamasa eti daha çok kötü yapar.
If you don't know how to exactly use this knife, So the reason he likes using a knife like this, because this is the knife that they use before grinders were invented. This is the way they would grind the meat for kebabs. And what it does is it doesn't, smash it into all the juices kind of extracts from it when you use a grinder. But when you do it in this technique, the flavor is much more stays together, and the meat's not
Yani
bruised.
bunu çiğner böyle yaparken şöyle çiğnetirler ve etin güzel lezzetini tamamen yok ederler.
So again, the technique he was showing, when you're chopping, if you use that technique, that will destroy the flavor of the meat.
Evet, bu böyle tane tane olması gerekiyor.
It has to be a little coarse, but this is how kebab meat is supposed to be.
Bu sakız gibi oldu mu çok kötü olur.
When it's ground too much or chopped up too much, when it has a pasty consistency, that's not preferable for a kebab dish.
2 saniye, pardon.
Does he use that technique in the restaurant?
Yes, this technique they use in the restaurant.
Bu da kötü gözlerden hepimizin arınması için.
So this is to keep all the evil eyes away from us.
Kahrolsun kötülükler.
So now that we're all blessed,
Şimdi
bunu kaldırıyorum buradan.
olur. O bitti. Şimdi nar vardı. Şunları alayım. Bilmiyorum, bu tenceredeki böyle közlendikten sonra sen onunla ilgilenme, ilgilenme.
After it's grilled like this on a charcoal grill,
Mutlak nar koyuyoruz.
so he adds it to a pot, and he's adding pomegranates, as you can see,
Nar ekşisi.
and pomegranate molasses.
Evet. Bu onun olmazsa olmazı. Biraz da et suyu koyuyoruz.
And he has some meat broth in there also.
Bu
Some
şekilden
veal stock.
sonra yaklaşık 1 saat çok kısık ateşte pişiyor.
At a very low heat, he cooks it for about an hour. Lets it simmer for about an hour.
I have a couple of questions from the audience. First of all, what is the large knife called?
What is?
With the large knife that he
The
had, what
large
is that
knife's
called?
name is zirh.
Zirh?
Z-I-R-H.
Z-I-R-H. And then they want, what did Chef Musa just sprinkle onto the
Yeah.
charcoal?
Ateşe hangi baharatları şey yaptın? Hangi baharat karışımı?
Bunun içerisinde karanfil,
There was some cloves,
mastik,
mastic,
ondan sonra kakule,
cardamom,
golyandır.
coriander seeds, whole coriander seeds,
Tarçın,
cinnamon,
tarçın. Tuz olmazsa olmaz.
and salt.
Tuz olmazsa kötü gözler def olmuyor. Tuzla
So
def
you,
oluyor.
you need the salt. If you don't have the salt, it won't drive the evil away.
Evet. Şimdi bir de genel olaraktan bunun yeme biçimi var.
So there's again a way to consume this dish.
Hani normalde böyle çatal kaşıkla falan aslında bu yenmez.
You don't need a fork and knife.
Ya şöyle yenecek.
You get a piece
Bir
of
tane-
you get a piece of lavash
Bir
bread, of flat bread.
konu mankeni kullanabilir miyiz?
We're going to use chef to help us demonstrate.
Buyurun. Güzel mi? Bir başka da yine
Another way to consume this is he was putting some pepper paste
Biber salçası.
on the lavash.
Evet.
That's just pure pepper paste? Is there something else in that? Just peppers?
It's just peppers that have been pureed and then they're sun-dried.
And while he's plating that up, we have a comedian in the audience who is asking Melik if this
Bu da
is the
böyle.
kebab that your dad would
Bu
want to eat.
şekilde. Evet. Sana verebilirim ya. Afiyet olsun.
Baban yer mi diye birisi sordu benim babam. Çünkü benim babam bir önceki konuşmada dedim benim babam kendi sattığı kebabı yemiyordu. Ondan sordu bunu yer mi?
Bunun babası soğanı közleyip sadece soğanı közleyip lavaş ekmeğin üstüne salçayı sürüp etsiz olaraktan yokluktan öyle yerlerdi diye anladım.
Ben mi anladım?
Tabii.
Şarap anladım. I have- is my
Soru
microphone working?
sana tabii.
Yeah, you go ahead. You go ahead.
What Chef Musa was saying was that my dad in my time would just eat bread with the paste and some onion because in those times we didn't have meat very often, you know, so that's what we would eat simply like that. That's what he's saying.
Öyle, evet. Evet.
All right.
Afiyet olsun.
Thank you so much. And-
Böyle.
I think you brought the skewers from Turkey too, correct? I think they didn't. He brought those skewers too, right?
I actually have the skewers
Oh,
here in
okay.
California. I
No.
live down in Santa Clara, but
Yeah, not so hard to get. The knife. Can you get that knife in the gift shop? No, probably not. Maybe. Try to get that home. Yeah, good luck. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. We are going to move on to Melik.
Oh wow, okay.
Yes.
Hello everyone. So I'm going to make yayla çorbası today, yayla soup. And yayla refers to, it means plateau or highland pastures. So it's actually referring to the fact that it's a very rural dish. It's a hot yogurt soup essentially, and I wanted to showcase how versatile and how much yogurt is used and how versatile it actually is, because I don't think people often think of it as something that you'd warm up and use in soup. But it is one of the classic things to eat in Turkey and around in Iran and other places. Yogurt soup is a favorite. And yeah, so it refers to a thing that was originally very rural and what we call a shepherd's meal. So a shepherd's meal meaning that those were the kind of people that would eat it in the highland pastures. And it refers to a style of cooking. So we refer to shepherd's meals. It comes up a lot in cooking. So shepherd's salads, you know, shepherd's kind of stews, and it refers to simple way of eating, hearty, substantial, seasonal, and things with little intervention technically, but just really, really with what you have. And it's, so the word shepherd in Turkish is çoban, and you might have heard it from the most famous Kurd, the Chobani yogurt, the yogurt guy. So yes, so yogurt is a real like hearty kind of way to eat because it sustains you for a long period of time. And this soup is a favorite, and I can't believe I chose the most classic, oldest dish to make in front of. I don't think. Yeah, we'll see. It's a lot of pressure, but it's my version, shall I say? And that's the other thing about our food. It's not only regional, but it changes from home to home. So it can change. So today, I'm making the soup with the base, the classics is, the main foundational thing is yogurt, rice, and mint. That's the foundation of the soup. And then there are iterations that change. So some people might use barley. I'm adding some chickpeas today, and I'm finishing off with some chard. And then I'm going to top with Bulghur wheat dumplings, again to showcase how versatile bulgur is to use. So Chef Musa put bulgur in with the meat. And this is a meatless bulgur wheat dumpling. And this is really versatile as well. It can be used, so as you can see, we've got bulgur wheat here. This is a really fine bulgur wheat. You might have seen bulgur wheat thicker used as a rice, but here we're going to soak it with hot water. So we're going to cover it, and we actually put some salt in there as well, just enough to cover, so like 1/2 centimeter worth, and you put a good pinch of salt, as Chef Musa said, to keep the evil away, and a bit on the shoulder as well.
And Malik, on our call, we were talking about calling these dumplings, and you were talking about the definition of dumpling, and that you said it was more of a kofta. It doesn't have to have meat.
No,
to be
it
a
doesn't
dumpling.
have to have
Yeah.
meat. We're just going to cover this and set this aside, and I'm going to show you how that's going to turn into a dough. Right, I'll set that aside as well. So yes, dumplings, I mean, I don't know if we would call it dumplings in Turkish, but köfte, the word köfte, doesn't need to refer to meat. It's something that's, you know, turned into a paste and balls. Would you agree, Burak?
Yes, I mean, it can be either a ball or a patty.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's what it refers
Yep.
to. And so these dumplings, these bulgur wheat dumplings, are quite versatile. So you can use them so you can put them in a soup, you can toss them in butter by itself, but they're really hearty, they're really filling, and they're great. So I'm going to show you now how to make the base of the soup. So everything starts cold, okay, because you don't want the yogurt to split. I might use that spoon. Well, I'm going to use that for that. But. So you have yogurt that goes in. You have flour, 1 egg. Thank you. Garlic. Some salt. Right, and you start with a little bit of water and you start whisking. So we haven't turned on the heat yet, okay? So we're going to turn this, start whisking. So we're going to form a little paste. And then, so we don't get it clumpy, we're whisking it first, and then we'll add water little by little. Thank you, Chef. Just a little bit for now. A little bit more, yeah. And this will get rid of all the clumps. And then, yeah, little by little you add more. And this is where, at which point I would turn the heat on. Yeah? Wait, 1 sec. Let me get this a little smoother. Yeah, so now that it's smooth, we'd add more water to it. And then what we're going to do, you can add about half of that in there. And what we're going to do is on a low heat, be really patient and just keep stirring until it comes to a simmer. This is really important because it ensures that the mix doesn't split, the yogurt doesn't split and curdle. And so once it comes to a simmer, I will add the rice then. And so this rice is, so we traditionally use a cracked rice, what we call a cracked rice, but the alternative is a rice pudding rice. So we've got a rice pudding rice here. So it's kind of starchy enough, but not as starchy as, say, like a, thank you, as a risotto rice. That would be too much. It would thicken too much. And you only use a little bit because you want to control how much it thickens. And you can add, once this thickens and comes to a boil, you can add more water, depending on, some people like the soup really thick, some people like it quite more liquidy. And yeah, so this will come to a simmer, and then I would add chickpeas to that. Don't worry about that. So I like to add chickpeas, but that's not traditional. It's not the normal way to do it. But like some people do, and actually, I love cold yogurt soup that I call borani, that in my region, Chef Musa says is called something else that I didn't know. Neydi? Hani soğuk bizim çorbanın adı, hani yoğurt,
Soğuk değil,
ıspanaklı.
sıcak olan. Peskutan.
Peskutan, sıcak olan mı o?
Tabii hem soğuk, yani yazın soğuk.
Okay. Yeah, so in the
Sıcak.
summer, it's called peskutan apparently. I didn't know, so I love learning things like this. But yeah, so you'd add chickpeas, and then we don't have to add this, fine. We can take this aside now, and then I'll show you what it looks like.
And so how long would that generally take then to simmer?
Half an hour, I would say, to bring to a simmer, depending on how much you've made. And so to serve 4 to 6, I would say it takes a good 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes. And so this is one that I've cooked and we've brought to a heat. And what I like to do, again, it isn't traditional, is to add a spinach or a chard to this, which I think is a beautiful green. And again, you would make that, for the cold soup, you'd actually pre-cook some spinach and mix it, and I love that as well. So I'm just going to add this to, this isn't on, let's turn this on. And then I'm going to add this to finish. And whilst that's happening, I'm going to show you how I make the Bulghur wheat dumplings.
And may I just jump in with a quick audience question?
Yeah, sure, thanks.
What type of yogurt are you using, and did you make the yogurt?
Well, at home, I would make the yogurt. So that's a great question. The yogurt, for example, that my mum makes yogurt every week. So the starter of her yogurt, she's had for about 30 years, that she's kept going for about 30 years, and that's quite a good blessing to keep in the house, to not break the chain of your starter. So make yogurt regularly, and for example, if she's going on holiday, the neighbor will take over and make yogurt with the starter. Wow. It's wonderful. It's such a communal thing, and it's such a good blessing. But yeah, I would use homemade yogurt, just because you can actually, depending on how long you keep yogurt out before you set it, for example, you can control how sour your yogurt is or isn't. And I find that with this soup, the more sour it is, the better for me. But we've used just a strained Greek yogurt, I think. Just a strained natural yogurt, shall I say. I don't know why we call it Greek yogurt, although we love the Greeks as well. And I think this, so this is a strained natural yogurt, basically. And so whilst that's, I think, has that come to a simmer? We can add not yet. When it does, we'll add that. So I'm gonna, can the camera see this, or shall I move this here? It will find it? Yeah, I'm going to do some of it here, yeah. Yeah? Yeah, great. Okay, so as you can see, we did this just, 10 minutes ago, and it's soaked and cooked through the fine Bulgur wheat. So it's soft, cooked through, and what we're going to do, I'll take half of it. I'm going to show you how simple it is, and I would say keep some water at hand with you to wet your hands so that it doesn't stick. We're going to add a little bit of flour to this, not a lot. So a lot of people traditionally wouldn't even use too much, wouldn't use any flour, and just over time knead it enough that they don't need any flour. But I'm a mere novice compared to some of those experts. But yeah, I use a bit of flour dusting, and it just helps it bind together. So you'd start slowly, and you'd add little by little. And I have a special kofta tray that is ridged at the bottom. You might be able to find online. So it helps you. So what you can do is, because this isn't ridged, you can hold some with your hand and then do that. And then it just helps break down the bulgur and turn it into, add a little bit more. Yeah. And then we've got a formed one here. And some people add other flavors to this. But as you can see, it's forming already. But I would knead this for about 10 minutes so that it doesn't fall apart when you're boiling and forms a real dough, which I'm going to show you now. But this is how simple it is, basically. You can add semolina to this to thicken it, get it more doughy. You can add, sorry, I've got my back to you, 1 sec. You can also add an egg to it, and the dough so you can make dumplings that are filled. So we call it içli köfte. So if it's doughy enough, you make a big ball, you hollow it out with your fingers, turning, and then you can fill that with meat or potatoes and boil that. And there's forms across the Swana regions called kebab or kubba. And yeah, that's a stuffed version of this, essentially. So this is how wonderful it becomes, how malleable and doughy it becomes. This is one we made earlier, basically. And I'm going to show you how we make the dumplings. So literally, I'd split that up a little bit. And then I'd start splitting it up and keep my hands moist, basically. I'll first portion it up, give it a squeeze, portion them up, and then once I've portioned a few, and you usually do it with a few people, it's quite a social thing, and then you just roll between your palms. The people laugh at me
Onu
saying it's a
zaten
social.
imece usulü yapılır, böyle tek yapılmazdı.
That's literally what I just said. We're in the same. You just said you would make this as a group. Ben de tam aynı şeyi söylüyorum. Yeah, it's a social thing. It's lovely. We're just so bonded. Okay, so do you see? Do you see these balls? Okay, and then you'd boil them like you would, dare I say, a gnocchi. Don't tell Chef Mosai I said that. But yeah, so you'd boil them, and then you can freeze them like this, so you can make big batches and freeze, pre-cooking, post-cooking, but I would cook them for 5 minutes. That's a lot, actually, maybe. Okay. Let's see, sorry. Let's see how that's doing. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you, Chef. So let's turn the heat down for this, and then I'm gonna show you. So the traditional thing is to pour a mint butter onto this now, right? So I'm gonna make a lovely mint butter. I also, to quickly show you, just the chickpeas in there, I fried some off with some tomato, sun-dried tomato pepper paste, which is called salsa in our region. So it's sun-dried either pepper paste or tomato paste. Salsa refers to both. And I've got a mixed version. We had a little cup. If we've got some, did we throw it away? It's fine. But I used it in here with some butter and olive oil and chili pepper. Yeah, this one. Yeah.
What is it? What is it called?
No, I'm good. I'm good. So that's okay. Oh yes, thanks. This is an unbranded version, right?
O tomato ve
This is
biber.
tomato and this is
And the
pepper.
pepper.
It's beautiful.
Güneşte kurutulmuş.
In the sun, dried in the sun. Okay, so that's done, and I'm gonna show you guys the butter topping. So you can either, traditionally, you would make the mint butter and pour it all over the soup and mix it and then serve it mixed. But if you want, you can leave the soup like this and drizzle it into individual bowls like a garnish. I like to do that. To be fancy sometimes, which we're going to do today. Right. And so these are the boiled version of the balls that I've drizzled a little olive oil on not to stick, but you won't have to do that if you're doing it fresh. But yeah, they're great things. So they're a great alternative to, like, if you were using a crouton or something like that. But it's essentially to make the soup more substantial and delicious. Is this a salted butter? I don't know. No? Okay, great, I'll salt it. Yeah, I would use a salted butter. But yeah, or you can salt it yourself. So this will start foaming. And then we can add the mint. Gorgeous. Right, I'm going to serve some. Thank you. I'm going to add the dumplings in a second, just after the butter's melted and come together a little bit. That's when I'll add the dumplings.
So you don't want to add them too soon.
No, they don't need it, but you can brown them a little bit if you want. Okay. Right, gorgeous, if I say so myself. So this is a massive bowl and a little ladle. So, thank you so much. Great. Okay, let's get this served. Yeah. Okay, I've got some fresh mint as well because I like the different, like dried mint, fresh mint, and like the note you're making references to all the different ingredients in there. So I like that. That's not a traditional thing, but I like it. Right. Okay. Yep, so just drizzle, and then, gorgeous, okay. Maybe I'll heat this up a little bit more. Actually, I'll sort it out, it's fine. Yeah.
Wow, beautiful.
And some mint, and actually, can I get the mint butter back, because I'm going to do final drizzle. Yeah, and that's my little iteration
Gorgeous.
of a yayla soup.
Awesome. We have a couple of minutes. Any questions for either chef? Oh, okay.
Okay. So someone is asking if either of these dishes will be served in the marketplace.
Unfortunately not, but you're welcome to. I've got a
Onlardan
massive
herhangi
pot
biri-
of soup.
Yarınki öğle yemeğinde sunulacak mı diye soruyorlar.
Bu şeyde restoranda soğan kebabı sunulacak.
So this evening and tomorrow evening, chefs collaborating with Kopya. So
Hatta
we're going to be having
bu
this
akşam da
onion
olacak,
kebab
2 gün.
this evening at Kopya
Artı,
pop-up dinner.
artı ayvalı versiyonlu.
And it's going to also be enhanced with some quince also added to this dish.
Yine klasik mesela yine restoranda şey olan hani Fransız soğan çorbası çok bilinir ama bizim bir piyaz çorbamız var. O da şöyle düşünün 250 gram mercimeğe 2,5 kilo soğan giren bir soğan çorbası.
So also this evening, one of the dishes that he's going to prepare, or they're going to be prepared for this dinner, is similar to a French onion soup, but the onion soup that we make is with, like, let's say, 250 grams of lentils, gets 2.5 kilos of onions to it. So it's you know.
And I wonder if, for my AV team, if we can go to that Musa slide, and then I'm gonna ask, we have a question from Melik about what are the greens in the soup?
This is Swiss chard in there, but you could use spinach, and the garnish I just used some fresh mint. But the key thing that makes this a yayla soup is the dried mint. So dried mint and butter, and then the yogurt base. So if you've got those two things, you've got what you need to make a yayla soup at heart, and then everything else is just an iteration, I would say.
And we had a couple of questions for Chef Musa that we didn't have a chance to ask. So we have a couple of minutes, and I was going to ask.
Sana sormak istediğim birkaç tane daha soru var.
So was there any seasoning inside the kebab meat?
Kebap etinin içinde herhangi bir baharat kullandın mı?
Tuz ve karabiber.
Salt and pepper only.
Hatta karabiberi sonradan da eklemek mümkün.
Or you could add black pepper later on if you want to.
Great. And then the other question was, what kind of meat stock is used mostly in Turkish cooking?
Türk mutfağında en çok hangi et suyunu kullanıyorsunuz?
Aslında biz bir kemik suyu ağırlıklı olarak kullanırız.
Hangi hayvandan?
Kuzu, keçi, büyükbaş hayvan.
So they usually prepare a meat stock with a combination of lamb, goat, and beef.
Yani mesela şeyine göre diyelim hastaysan işte tavuk suyu çorbası yaparsın. Tavuk
So
suyu
again,
yaparsın.
just like in many cultures, if you're sick, a chicken soup, a strong chicken broth is always preferred for a healing process.
Kavurmadan mesela yine bir su yaparlar et kavurmasında.
And there's some braised dishes, and they also prepare broth with braising some meat very slowly, and then adding
Biraz-
water to it to make it a broth.
Biraz metropollerle kırsal çok birbirleriyle çok farklı.
Yeah. So the cities and the rural areas, the approach to cooking is quite different.
Yani mesela metropoller bulyon kullanırken öbürü kemik bile bulamıyor. İcabında sadece işte meleğin yaptığı gibi yoğurtla, bulgurla yetiniyor.
So let's say in the
Ya da
cities,
pirinçle yetiniyor.
they use a bouillon or some type of, already prepared meat stock. Whereas in the rural areas, if they don't have any bones to make a meat stock, they would simplify it, like Melek was showing the soup with a yogurt-based soup, without any added meat broth to it.
Wonderful.
Welcome to Peanuts in the Plant Forward Kitchen. I'm Ashton Pelham. Today we're digging into the roots of peanuts, where they come from, how they're grown, and why they're good for the planet. I'm joined today by the incredible chef Mai Pham, internationally celebrated chef whose dishes are inspired by the bold flavors of Southeast Asia. And we're also lucky to have Mason Becker, a peanut farmer from Texas who's helping lead the change in sustainable agriculture. So Mason, we'll start with you. So many people want to know more about where their food actually comes from. Can you share what makes growing peanuts so unique and how they stand out as a sustainable crop?
You know, when I think sustainability, it brings back something my dad always told me, is being a steward of the land and a steward of the soil. And peanuts tie in perfectly with that. If I can show you a peanut that I got to bring all the way from my home in Texas, you can see obviously the beautiful peanuts that we all know and love, right? But what a lot of people don't realize is peanuts are actually a legume. So they grow underground and they have the ability to put nitrogen back in the soil. So not only do we get a commodity that we can all eat and enjoy, but we can also take this plant, all the leaf material and the roots that store up that nitrogen, and we can either put it back into the soil for the next year's crop, or we can bale it up and use it as a hay to feed cattle and other ruminants.
Wow, that's eye-opening. I already love peanuts, but knowing they're good for the environment makes them even better. Now, Chef Maya, your cooking draws on flavors from all over the world. How have peanuts shown up in your culinary journey, and what delicious dish are you sharing with us today?
So today we're going to do a dish called gà kho sa đậu phộng, clay pot braised chicken with peanuts. One thing to know about Vietnamese cooking, clay pot is very important, and it's because that's the cooking vessel of choice. It's inexpensive, it's very easy, and it also imparts flavor to the food. So we're going to start by making the caramel sauce first, right? So all it calls for. I got a pan that hopefully is hot enough, and this is just sugar. Don't panic. It's doing its thing, right? It's getting really beautiful caramel, like almost butterscotch right now. And you notice I'm lifting it off from the fire because I don't want it to continue to burn out of control. And I'm going to put a little bit of hot water in there, and over here it'll splatter. So we just want to be very careful with it. And that's all you need to do.
Oh, wow.
So the next thing to do is more straightforward. It's cooking off the chicken. This is the oil. You're going to put some oil in. So I've got some nice shallots. Now it's nice and hot, right? And you notice I'm kind of want to give it a little bit of a head start. If you put everything in here, the garlic stuff usually burns too quickly.
Okay.
And I want to extract some of the flavors from the shallot. I'm going to add the chicken. And normally what you do is you put a little fish sauce in. You could just put a little bit in. And that's sort of the key. At this point, we're going to put in the caramel sauce. So what we're going to do now is add a little bit coconut water, or you can use water, or you can use chicken stock, right?
Okay.
At this point, we already got the nice seared smell with the lemongrass in right now, right?
Okay.
Lower the temperature here. We're going to let this simmer for about 25 to 30 minutes.
So Mason, as a third generation farmer, what keeps you passionate about the work that you do? And what do you hope that the people watching understand about farming?
Family and farming and food is what I love. It's easy to be passionate about something you love and be aware of what you're eating and know that there's farmers producing that crop and producing specifically peanuts that are proud of what we're growing. And we want to provide something that's nutritious, sustainable, and healthy.
Okay, so Chef Mai, this has been on the stove here for about 25 or so minutes. Tell me what the next steps are now.
Your favorite part, right?
That's what we're talking about.
We're going to put peanuts in, right? And like I said, I don't like to put in too early because it becomes the same color. It's just a matter of preference, and it's sort of a chef thing. This is now done, so I'm going to transfer it now to a plate pot so that we can continue to simmer it if we like. It's a great vessel to also to heat up food, right? Because the clay pot stays hot for a lot longer. You want to garnish?
Yes, please, sure.
A little. See, this is very special cilantro. They're flowering, and they're much more intense. You want to put chilies in there?
I'm going to trust you with that. I'm going to stick to what I do.
See, a little lime, not too much, brightens everything. Okay, so how about tasting some food?
I've been waiting for you to ask me.
Right. Okay, here you go, and I gave you a little chilies because you like it spicy.
That looks great.
Oh my goodness.
That is delicious.
Wow.
You probably need some rice, right?
Wow. Mason, Mai, thank you both. We learned that peanuts inspire many cuisines, are a zero waste crop, and sustainably grown and farmed right here in America. Thanks for watching Peanuts in the Plant Forward Kitchen. I'm Ashton Pelham. See you next time. And oh, Mason, let's be honest. Can I grow peanuts at home?
Ashton, I'm glad you asked, man, because I always encourage people to try grow peanuts themselves. This is important. As long as it's not a roasted peanut, it'll grow. So take an unroasted green peanut, put it in good soil, and add some water and keep it moist. And in 4 to 5 months, you're going to have your own peanut crop.
Awesome. You heard it from the man yourself.
Bonseo are crispy and savory crepes made with rice flour that are a popular street food in southern Vietnam. Bonseo literally means sizzling pancake in Vietnamese and refers to the sizzling sound when the rice batter is poured onto the hot skillet. The crepes are stuffed with all sorts of ingredients such as pork, prawns, mung beans, and bean sprouts. Today I'm going to show you a vegetarian version and stuff the crepes with mushrooms, bean sprouts, and tofu. Let's get started by making our batter, which you can make the day before if you want. In a mixing bowl, we'll combine our dry ingredients: rice flour, cornstarch, salt, sugar, and turmeric. Mix together coconut milk, water, and green onions until the batter has a smooth and thin consistency. Set this aside while we make our filling. Heat oil in a non-stick sauté pan over medium heat. Add sliced Nasoya tofu baked teriyaki and sear on both sides until golden brown, about 4 to 5 minutes. Add more oil and saute the onions and mushrooms for 1 to 2 minutes until they're slightly browned. Now we'll make our crepes, which always need to be made to order for the best texture. Heat oil in a nonstick saute pan over medium-high heat. Ladle about a 1/4 cup of the batter into the pan, tilting it to spread the batter evenly. The batter should bubble on contact. Reduce the heat to medium and add a portion of the sautéed tofu, mushrooms, and onions, as well as some of the bean sprouts onto one side of the crepe. Sprinkle with some green onions. Cover the pan with a lid and cook for 2 to 3 minutes until the edges crisp and the batter sets. Once the crepe is done, allow it to cook uncovered for an additional 1 to 2 minutes until the bottom is golden brown and crispy. Gently fold the crepe in half like an omelet and slide it onto a plate. Bonseo are traditionally enjoyed by wrapping a bite-sized piece of the crepe inside some lettuce with mint, Thai basil, and cilantro. This perfect bite is then dipped into nukchom. Not only are bonseo gluten-free and plant-forward, they are a fun and delicious shared dish.
This dessert was my introduction to the luxurious flavors of rose and pistachio when I was a young child. My mother's favorite restaurant in New York served a similar dessert, and when it arrived at the table in its silver-rimmed glass cup, I always felt like a princess. It's refreshing, creamy, silky, and it has the intoxicating aroma of roses. There are so many variations of this dessert around Europe. Malebi in Cyprus, rojata in Croatia, and panna cotta alla rosa in Italy. I was inspired to deconstruct this dessert and make my own updated version using products from all over Europe in a new elevated milk pudding with rose. The base of my pudding is a full cream milk powder from the Netherlands, which is a dairy product created by removing water from whole milk. I'll reconstitute it for my pudding. Instead of using sugar, I'm sweetening the pudding with Romanian fig preserves. I love the pop of texture from the fig seeds. I'm also adding French acacia blossom honey, which has subtle hints of vanilla and floral fruity notes. So that my pudding sets, I'm adding some potato starch from Poland mixed with water. I'll thicken the milk pudding using traditional mastica de chio, also known as mastic gum. Mastic is a natural resin from Greece harvested from the bark of a shrub found growing throughout the Mediterranean. What makes it so special is its PDO or Protected Designation of Origin status, meaning it can only be produced in the island of Chiu, where centuries of know-how give it its unique character and quality. Not only does it add the perfect texture to my pudding, it also imparts pine and citrus flavors, a very emblematic flavor of the region. I set my pudding in the rose mold to remind our guests of the rose ingredients in the pudding, as well as to show the transition of spring flowers into summer fruits. In Croatia, this dish would traditionally be served with rose cordial poured over it in a bowl with some ice cubes, while in other regions it would be served with figs cooked in honey. I'm creating green leaf shapes using pistachio verde di Bronte cream, made with high-quality pistachios from the Bronte region in Sicily. To impart rose flavor and aroma into my dish, I'm adding rose hip jam from Croatia. A lot of people don't think of rose as a flavor, yet roses have had a place in our kitchens for eons. They were enjoyed in sweets in ancient Greece, the Byzantine Empire, and all over medieval Europe. Lastly, to echo the honey in the pudding, I'm garnishing my dish with some honey bee pollen called Miel de Asturias from Spain. It adds a textural contrast as well as a slightly sweet and floral flavor with some undertones of nuttiness and earthiness. In addition, it's very healthy for you. This milk pudding with rose is light, refreshing, and a perfect summer night treat. It celebrates the fresh seasonal ingredients and highlights a harmonious blend of floral and nutty flavors.